Independent Senator Paul Richards, who spoke about separating fact from fiction very passionately. But in his contribution, he spoke about spyware and taps at a DPP's office and presented that he heard that and that might be a possibility. Let me clarify on the Hansard in the Senate that came from something called Emailgate, the second worst attack on democracy in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. The first being the 1990 coup, as the independent senator rightly said. The second worst attack on democracy was Emailgate, brought by the member for Diego Martin West. Diego Martin West, who is now the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. It was a total sham, total falsehoods. 29 of the 31 things that he described as emails were not even emails because they did not have enough characters, so to be. It could not enter any cloud, whether rain cloud, AI cloud, or anything. It was totally false, totally wrong, totally fabricated. And for an independent senator to come here and talk about that from a position of respectability, to pretend and give to the population somehow that there was some truth to that in 2023 is untoward. So I put it on the record that Emailgate, spyware in the DPP's office was a figment of the imagination of a member of parliament who should know better, and that's why we're here to debate.
Shame. Total lies.
This motion is completed by saying, be it resolved that the Senate calls upon the government to reaffirm its commitment to the principles and the practice of democracy in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm not sure if I can agree with my honorable senatorial colleague, Senator Lakshmi Dial, because reaffirm means that the PNM had to originally affirm democracy. The PNM started off wrong, they stay wrong, and they're still wrong. The PNM was never about democracy. From inception, the PNM was about gerrymandering, playing with boundaries, controlling the population, and staying in power regardless of what happened to this country. Back in 1961, this PNM government under Dr. Eric Williams, and all of them need to read their history, told the population in 35 days that they are going to have their constitution of the independent republic of the independent Trinidad and Tobago, that in 35 days they are to read, disseminate, discern, and get to a meeting to tell the government what are their thoughts. They presented a document, and then in the discussions, one could remember Ashford Sinanan, who stood up there, and they were trying to say, the PNM were telling them that on your constitution that will chart the future of your country, you are only to speak 5 minutes. He shouted at them and said that I will not be curtailed my speaking time. Ellis Clark, the Honorable Ellis Clark, said that he presented the original constitution because we were so trained to follow it. The PNM did not listen to the other voices of the masses, of the other groups. The PNM listened to themselves because the PNM is anti-democracy. The PNM is for the PNM and the PNM only from inception. So there is no reaffirmation. They've never affirmed that they are for democracy. When one is for democracy, one believes in themselves. One believes in their ability. One does not need to gerrymander. When one looks at the local government elections 2019 map, the entire thing, 89% of the country is colored in yellow. But because of the machinations of the PNM, they say they win 7-7, even though they lost 15 burgesses. So your eyes see something that appears different because of the essence and the genesis of the PNM. If you go to the PNM's work throughout, they went to Marlborough House, and Dr. Williams promised Capildeo when they were arguing and it looked like independence would not come. because of the boundaries in the East-West corridor, where Capildeo said, this is not fair. Well, let's get an independent international organization to go through the country scientifically with population and create constituencies and so on, so that an election will be fair. Now, poor Capildeo, he believed a PNM leader, just like the country believed for a while Emailgate. The country believed that the current Prime Minister was there to fight corruption. The country believed that the current Prime Minister is for democracy. The country believed a lot of people who tell untruths, especially in the leadership of the PNM. And Capildeo, for the good of Trinidad and Tobago, just like Bastille Pandey in 2001, when he was summarily kicked out of office based on a statement and an analysis from the foreword of our Constitution on moral and spiritual values. Where have you ever heard an incumbent kicked out or losing a battle when there is a tie? In a boxing match, if the scores are tied, the world champion remains the world champion. But not in Trinidad and Tobago under the PNM. There is no democracy. There is no independence. And Trinidad and Tobago is where we are now because of the lack of democratic principles of the People's National Movement. Yeah. So they cannot reaffirm anything. They reaffirm that they want to win election by any means necessary. Yeah. Yeah. And this is the problem. Yeah. You can talk about the voter machines that came in, and A&R Robinson won his seat. Won his seat by more votes than were allowed to vote. Imagine that. That's PNM. Read your history. Don't come here and tell me about PNM is for democracy. PNM is win and hold power by any means necessary. Do what you have to do. And that's why we are in a mess. Furthermore, you would see in 2010, for example, when the PNM control coming through, they always wanted to control the EBC because that's the referee. That's the way the competition is. Now, would someone who's skillful, who's well-versed, trained, disciplined, want to control the referee? No, because you believe in yourself. But the PNM does not even believe in themselves, because you can go at a competition in two ways. You can go at the competition knowing I am the best, and the people will know that I am the best based on my performance, my policies, on how I treat people, and therefore I go to the people with fairness, equity, democracy. Not the PNM. Them had to control everything. They had to know that their person is in charge, that in any little seat, in any margin, they will get a little advantage. Let me tell you from a real example, Mr. President. 2010, Dabadi O'Meara. I didn't even know where Dabadi O'Meara was. It was one of them seats they cut out in the east. So I had to drive up there when the People's Partnership was formed to say, let me see where exactly are these boundaries. When I drove up there, I saw a seat. So well, it's a small seat. But on one side of the highway, PNM stronghold. Oh Lord, they build a house and so on. And you know how PNM do it. Yeah. And on the other side, a stronghold for the UNC and the COP and so on. Lo and behold, election call. And there are 18 polling divisions. And you say that you had an independent EBC, right? Never mind all the seats in the East-West corridor. You can go so and you see a little bit of red and them win. Everybody else lost, right? But let's just go with that. And you came there and I said, listen, 18 polling divisions, I'm going to leave at 6 o'clock on the dot, stop in one in Malabar, then go across to Karapo. Now remember, Karapo is the stronghold of the UNC in that seat. Of course, it's a safe PNM seat, and it's a Minister of Finance sitting, Karen Nunes Teixeira was there, and none of them thought that they could lose, of course, because it had been set up so that no one could beat them.
Until the dog come.
But there was a gentleman at the helm of the EBC who many people thought was independent, because many people, and we hear debates here, that people who don't get a PNM card, they're independent. They're not really PNM, but when you see how they act and you have an interaction with them, you realize how dangerous the situation is in Trinidad and Tobago at every level. So I agree with Independent Senator Richards that it's not only the government, but the PNM has been in power so long The poison that has dropped from the Balizé poison into the water of our democracy has dissipated throughout all levels. So therefore, you have to find all of the poison where it is. And I went over to the second polling station in Karapo RC Primary School. Now this is a stronghold. And I noticed, but listen, why in one box are we seeing names from R to W? But in another box, they have P and O. Do you know what was the average time to vote in that one box, Mr. President? 4 hours and 15 minutes. At 6:05 a.m., I called the EBC and spoke to Mr. Masso and the agents and told them that what is this? Who decided to do this? Why would you do it in the whole day? And let me just cut the story short. I didn't move from there. I measured out the certain 300 yards or 400 yards and sat down next to a chicken coop whole day to make sure people would go and not get frustrated. But how could that be? You know what I noticed? From R to W, in the back there, they had plenty names like Ram Logan, Ram Singh, Sunarayan, Sarah Tant, and all of this in that box. 2 people vote in O and 3 people vote in P. But that was a design. Who, in what science, what fairness would put that situation in a box? The last vote in Dabadi Omira, the last person in 2010 voted at 7:47 p.m. That is PNM science for you. The election was called at 9:20 p.m. and not one result from Dabadi Omira had flashed through TV6 screen yet, because the voting was now starting. That's the essence of PNM's machinations to win elections without performance, without policy, without care. They just want to win by any means necessary. Another example was 2015. One thing PNM have good, I must tell all you. I in politics, and I try to mimic the PNM political machinery. It's amazing. The PNM not scientific with COVID, we go dead. The PNM not scientific with economics, we go bust. The PNM not scientific with the energy sector, we broken. The PNM not scientific with US dollars, we can't get none. But with getting out vote, knowing where the vote is, sending the car, putting the street captain, and pulling number and pulling out, oh Lord, PNM good. And so therefore in 2015, when the EBC alerted the PNM and the PNM only, see, this is the key. If it rain and it flood and you are alerting everybody, then you could say there's fairness and equity. But the PNM, who knows exactly how the vote's going down to the last vote, realizes curtail coming. The EBC suddenly calls them and say, hey, we go give all their next hour and don't tell the UNC nothing. And then the PNM celebrate like they win. That is not a victory. That is like cheating and taking steroids to win a race. What all they go celebrate? That is called cheating. So that was 2015. 2020, they make it worse now. Instead of just a general undercover PNM, they appoint the niece of a former sitting minister and the best friend of the minister of education.
Senator,
I'm talking
point of order.
what he's on
a point of order, 46.6. But also, this is not a substantive motion against the EBC. What the member is doing, he is using his time and his presentation to attack an independent institution. Okay, have a members. Senator Mark. So there's a point of order raised, 46.6, which is imputing improper motives. That I will uphold. Be very careful, Senator Roberts, in relation to that. In relation to the other comments that is attached to that particular standing order, just be mindful as to how far out you go.
Yes.
The motion speaks to the independent institutions and the democracy of such, so just be careful of the boundary lines. Continue.
Have no fear, right?
Do you have a point of order?
Right.
Have a seat, everyone.
Okay, I can leave.
That it was not a substantive motion. Mr. President, I'm putting it to you. This is a substantive motion, and you have approved it. No, Mr. President, this is a substantive motion.
Okay.
Right? It's a substantive.
Have a seat. So I have spoken to the point of order raised and the comments attached, therefore, to it. Senator Roberts, continue.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. And I'll have a lot to go. It's not on the EBC, it's on the PNM. That's what I'm dealing with. The PNM's appointment. Let me put it this way. If Kamala Prasad-Bissessar as Prime Minister had appointed Anil Roberts' niece as the head of the EBC, it would have a riot. If
Right,
Kamala Prasad...
so again, Senator Roberts, that is the line that you're going down that speaks to the imputation of improper motive. So that particular line in relation to dealing with that institution, the appointments thereof, just be extremely careful. Senator Mark,
Okay.
I've spoken and I have ruled. Senator Roberts, continue.
Mr. Vice President, I move on. Point made. That's why they jumpy, because they need that. The point is, they need that to win. They can't have it independent. They can't have it normal, because they're not good. They're just not good. If we want to look at quickly 2021, the PNM government executive is instructing an independent, as the minister jumps up to say, an independent institution is not to take instructions from the executive in a country that is practicing separation of powers, but right here before our eyes, the PNM government instructed the EBC how to divide up Tobago, how to divide the seats, where to divide it, and where the three are going.
Have a seat.
Yeah.
Have a seat. Thank you. Point of order. So,
EBC delivers an order to the Parliament.
members, the EBC, Senator Mark and Minister of Tourism. Minister of Tourism, have a seat, please. Senator Mark, again, I'm not going to say this again. I am on my legs. There's a point of order raised. You do not shout across the floor. Again, Senator Roberts, be careful about the statements that you're making. Continue.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Hansard will show. The normal process would be that for the EBC to come and lay a report and then we move from there. That is not what we debated downstairs and here. If it was an instruction from the executive, but I move on because I have a lot to get to. They're trying to delay me and I don't have enough time. Cheaters are essentially cowards. Cheaters deplore merit because coveting control is a characteristic of a coward. You could see criminals are cowards, for example, Mr. President. As you could see recently in Trinidad and Tobago, as the entire population is afraid to go out. A young boy from St. Mary's College, the second best college in the north to Fatima College, analysis from the foreword of our Constitution on moral and spiritual values. Where have you ever heard an incumbent kicked out or losing a battle when there is a tie? In a boxing match, if the scores are tied, the world champion remains the world champion. But not in Trinidad and Tobago under the PNM. There is no democracy. There is no independence. And Trinidad and Tobago is where we are now because of the lack of democratic principles of the People's National Movement. Yeah. So they cannot reaffirm anything. They reaffirm that they want to win election by any means necessary. Yeah. Yeah. And this is the problem. Yeah. You can talk about the voter machines that came in, and A&R Robinson won his seat. Won his seat by more votes than were allowed to vote.
Political terrorists called Rowley and get rid of the PNM in the 14 corporations. My brothers and sisters, I have a task, simple one, and that is to introduce our 6th winning UNC candidates who will become councillors in the next Port of Spain Corporation. As I call them, they will come on the stage, they will stand their ground, and then they will move on. And then we will introduce our colleague from the NTA, who will then produce their 6th candidate, Commander Norman Dindial. So the first candidate I would like to invite to the platform is Liana Bob Gonzalez Belmont East.
Vote for UNC. Vote for UNC.
Our second candidate is our young sister, Chantal Subero. She is going to take that seat. Belmont North and West, welcome Chantal.
No more, no more. Where to go?
Our next candidate is our hard-working brother Eric Blackman. He will take Belmont South. Welcome, Eric.
Vote for UNC. Vote for UNC.
Brothers and sisters, our next candidate, she's going to bring home the East Dry River Electoral District. Her name is Catherine Perry. Welcome, Catherine.
Vote for UNC. Vote for UNC.
Our next candidate is young, dynamic Darren Garner. He will bring home Northern Port of Spain Electoral District.
Vote for UNC. Vote for UNC.
And our final candidate in our 6th is our sister, Kenisha Mercano, St. Anne's River North.
Vote for UNC. Vote for UNC.
My brothers and sisters, at this time, I would like to invite my colleague and friend, Commander Norman Dindial. He will introduce our 6th winning, that is the NTA, 6 winning candidates, councillors in Port of Spain. Brother Commander Dindial.
Yeah, baby! You know
about NTA. Here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA.
Thank you, Senator Mark. Greetings and salutations to all. Good evening. It is definitely a good evening. A good evening for transformation. And you haven't heard this before said in this way, but you have heard it. Great was the PNM, and they will definitely fail. They will definitely fail against the united candidates that we are presenting here tonight from the National Transformation Alliance and the United National Congress. I would like to acknowledge in the audience the spouse of our political leader, Captain Gary Griffith, Mrs. Nicole Dyer Griffith. Thank you, ma'am. And without further ado, I'm going to present to you the National Transformation Alliance candidates for the city of Port of Spain. St. James West, Maura Renee Martin. Hashtag moving with Maura.
You know, it's all about NTA. Here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA.
St. Anne's River Central. Kenny Lee. Hashtag keys to the city with Kenny.
Yeah, baby. You know, it's all about NTA. Here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA.
The National Transformation Alliance next candidate for St. Anne's River South, Gail Castaneda. Hashtag Gail gets it done.
Let me go blue. We voting NTA.
Your National Transformation Alliance candidate for St. James East, Richard Thomas. Hashtag revival. With Richard. Your counselor, who's bringing home Woodbrook, Raisha Bethel Frederick.
Yeah, baby.
Hashtag rolling with Raisha.
Somebody say NTA, NTA, NTA.
For the Spain, who's going to take it home in that area, Angela Velasco. Hashtag Angela for action.
NTA, here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA.
Thank you.
Let me go blue. We voting NTA. Go blue. NTA is the win. Go blue. Gary Griffith got the plan. Go blue. So let us save our nation. No. NT. August 14th, vote for UNC.
Put your hands together for our 12 candidates. My brothers and sisters, at this time, I would like to introduce our first speaker. He is our coordinator in the Degomartin region. I present to you Senator Damian Lyder. Bring him on with a lusty round of applause.
It's time for we to build a better TNT. It's time for we to vote for the UNC. So let me tell them.
UNC and NTA family, let me hear you! How good and how pleasant it is for us, for the UNC and the NTA to be gathered together in one unity. Let me hear you! Oh my men callous, we call them evil, careless and reckless. Brothers and sisters, I want to sum it up by simply saying that the PNM is the worst government in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. This is a government that believes you and I are fools in this country. This is a government that believes their own supporters are fools in this country. They come to you to mamaga you by running and paving some roads now before this election. They come to you to talk to you about local government reform. They come to tell you they're restructuring ministries and they're fixing things in this country 8 years later with a broken nation, and they come into mamaga you before this election. We tell them no, we will not be mamagayed. You see, brothers and sisters, when the total infrastructure in this country is falling apart, we see Rohan sitting and dancing around with a PR stunt around this country today. When you fall long in a pothole in La Puerta, in Bonds Road, right outside the highway, and you fall long in a pot road, you're hearing Faris Awari talking about local government reform. When you see the floods hit you, and many of you here today know what happens when a small drizzle falls in Diego Martin or in Port of Spain. When you see the floods in Victoria Gardens, when you see the roads in Factory Road impassable, when my brother sitting down in the front end, Cocorite can't get up to the top of the hill because of a landslide, you have Rohan sitting and walking around the country singing Lotela, Lotela, and you ought to take that. No, we say no tonight to the PNM. My brothers and sisters, when you see Kamala Prasad-Bissessar and her MPs and her senators go out to help flood victims in the street, they say we played flood politics. When they see Gary Griffith and Russell Chan with backhoe clearing river, they say they're playing flood politics. Well, let me tell you something here tonight. In case they didn't know, being a politician means you have to serve the people. So we go play that kind of politics and we will help the people. And if helping flood victims is so wrong, then I just don't want to be right. I don't want to be right. Brothers and sisters, they're a government of optics and ineptitude. Why do you feel they're running away from bringing international observers here today? Because they know very well they cannot win an election fair and square. They know that. This is a government that is not serious about building a nation. They are not serious about helping the vulnerable in this country. This is a government that wants to continue with their fascist dictatorial practices, invading every independent institution in this country while they take away and strip the rights and freedoms of every citizen in this country. Brothers and sisters, we saw that when we saw that the Privy Council, under the action of Kamala Prasad-Bissessar and the UNC, had to take them to the Privy Council and make them come with this local government election today. And then today, brothers and sisters, we see them going further when they break a law in a CARICOM fete they hosted 2 weeks ago, when they now have to run in the parliament with their tail between their legs, having broken laws to try to fix what they did by bringing validation. Well, I want to recognize the members of parliament from the UNC that took the battle to them in the parliament today. Let us hear your voices for the members of parliament. Brothers and sisters, as I come to a close with my last minute, I want to say this. I want to say this with my last minute. Even though this lazy government can't pave your roads, even though the infrastructure falling apart, the number one issue in Diego Martin and Port of Spain today is crime. So even if they've cut the grass in the sporting field that they refuse to cut, you still have to worry about your son getting shot and killed in that field, like the young man up in Sandy Grande. Even if
They pave the roads and patch the potholes. You still have to worry about getting robbed by the traffic light. And even if they fix the infrastructure, and even if they stop the flooding in your country, in your towns, you still have to worry about a gangster jumping over your wall and coming for your wife and children. So I say to you, brothers and sisters, all hope is not lost. All hope is not lost. Because come August the 14th, 2023, we are all going to have an opportunity to go to the polls and to vote out this wicked, this callous, and this draconian PNM out of local government. Brothers and sisters, you have the opportunity to turn that tide. You have the opportunity to make that difference. The United National Congress calls on you. The NTA calls on you to stand your ground against crime. Stand your ground against poor infrastructure, and stand your ground against a wicked, draconian PNM government. Brothers and sisters,
Vote for UNC.
and brothers and sisters, in Debunking Corporation, there are 2 UNC candidates. I want to recognize the winning candidate for Bagatelle Blue Basin. She is a loving mother. She is a loving woman. She is a teacher. She will stand her ground for our children's security. I call on Nalini Goindo for Bagatelle Blue Basin. And brothers and sisters, we also have our UNC candidate for Glencoe, Goodwood La Porta. Well, let me tell you something. She's so bad. She's so hard and strong. She down there in Debunking fighting Rowley now as we talk. Let us put it up for the lady who is going to make Rowley lose sleep at night, every night till the 14th. Let us hear it for Marsha Walker. And brothers and sisters, we have 8 candidates of the NTA in Debunking. So I want to call up my colleague, my brother in arms, who we are working in one unity, Brother Paul Nahus, who will talk and speak and present the 8 NTA candidates. I thank you, brothers and sisters.
Yeah, baby, you know it's all about NTA. Here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA.
Good evening, my NTA and UNC family. I cannot tell you the hope and pride I am filled with to present here in front of the sea of yellow and sea of blue before me. And the honor it is to fight alongside with my UNC brother in arms, with our NTA candidates, the 8 candidates and the 2 UNC candidates that will bring the newly established borough of Debunking home. Our first candidate for the area of Bellevue Bosse, Salim Unison George, hashtag Safe with Salim.
Yeah, baby, you know it's all about NTA. Here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA.
Our candidate for the area of Shagamas, Point Kumara, Nakisha Smith, dedicated to Nisha.
You know it's all about NTA. Here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA.
The man on the ground every day to bring home Moko Bosse number 2, hashtag Javas, the game changer, Javas Nathaniel.
You know it's all about NTA. Here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA.
Our candidate, winning candidate, St. Lucian, Cameron Hill, hashtag Omar on the ball, Omar Jeffrey.
You know it's all about NTA. Here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA.
Fighting in Rich Plain, Covine, in the heart of the PNM, Mr. Kendall Fletcher, keeping up with Kendall.
You know it's all about NTA.
area of Diamond Vale. We have Mr. Rocky Mars. Come rumble with Rocky!
You know it's all about NTA. Here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA.
Our next candidates, very well-known figures throughout Diego Martin. Let me announce for you, Karen Ballpest Cummings for the area of Ancoco Molesplay.
You know
Karen,
it's all about
keep it
NTA.
up.
Here we go. Somebody say NTA.
Karen, keeping it real.
NTA, 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 NTA.
And last but certainly not least, we have Big Russell Chan. Come change with Chan.
You know it's all about NTA. Here we go.
Petty Rally Coco Reef.
NTA, 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 NTA.
Ladies and gentlemen, along with our two UNC candidates, you are looking at the next borough of Diego Martin representatives and all seats.
You know it's all about NTA. Here we go.
Thank you.
NTA, 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 NTA. Let it go blue. We voting NTA. Go blue. NTA is the way. August 14, vote for UNC. August 14, vote for UNC. August 14, August 14, August 14, August 14, vote for UNC.
Put your hands together for this powerful Diego Martin Borough Corporation team. My brothers and sisters, before I bring on the next speaker, may I invite you to join me in recognizing the political leader of the Movement for National Development, Brother Gavin Nicholas and his wife. Our next speaker is a young attorney at law. He's a member of Parliament for Barataria. San Juan. Let us put our hands together and welcome the Honorable Saddam Hussein.
It's time for we to build a better TNT. It's time for we to vote for the UNC. So let me tell them, August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your family.
UNC family! UNC family! NTA family! UNC and what I'm seeing before my eyes is an NTA and UNC Borough Corporation in Diego Martin. I am seeing a yellow and a blue Port of Spain City Corporation. And we are going to paint Sour Lavatel yellow and blue. So while Kamala Prasad-Bissessar painting yellow, Gary Griffith will be painting blue, and we will remove the PNM. My brother, message that enough is enough, and Rowley must go. Rowley must. Rowley must. Thank you very much. I just left the Parliament. Today, they have summoned an extraordinary sitting of the Parliament. You know to do what? Imbert last week went and break the law. When it comes to the Procurement Act, Imbert, together with the Cabinet, on the advice of the Attorney General, they have broken the law. And when I say they have broken the law, they had to come to the Parliament and pass a specific piece of law to exempt what we call expenditure for the CARICOM meeting that they had. That meeting has cost the taxpayers over $9.2 million, and they have a ceiling of $20 million to spend. and they break the law, and they want to come to the parliament today for us to legalize an illegality. That is what they have done. But what we are telling them is, no, you cannot do that. What we are saying is that the police must call Imbert and the cabinet and ask them about that matter, because that involves the expenditure of your money, the taxpayers' money. Because in this election, my brothers and sisters, they are asking you to pay something called property tax. That property tax is not going to fix road or drain or build bridge or box drain. That is going to fuel the PNM the campaign for the local government election and going further. We must tell them enough is enough, and you cannot touch our money like that. They have engaged in the illegality, and when we catch them with their hand in the cookie jar, Imbert say, you know what, it's not me, you know, it's Amo tell me to sign that. Then when the man say, no, when Amo stand up to talk today, he say he follow the law. All I could believe Amo. This is the same man that won in the United States and lie on affidavit to Miami court. Can you believe Amo? And when the opposition leader today, she pulverized them in the parliament, Rowley and Imbert run out the chamber while the opposition leader was speaking because they could not handle the truth. And that bill that we're dealing with, it have about 6 clauses in it. You know they're talking about that since 1:30 today, and they can't done. They are trying to frustrate us. They are trying to stop people from coming to this meeting. But when I see you here in your numbers, we are strong, we are united, and we are ready to get rid of the PNM from the corridors of power. I know other speakers will come tonight and tell you exactly what is taking place with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and political persecution in this country. And we must stop them, because that is a sign of a dictator. When a man can confess, when he can confess that he goes to the president's house and withdraw a list from the Police Service Commission in an illegal manner, we must say enough is enough. On August 14th, my brothers and sisters, this is your chance to restore and secure our democracy. It must be you standing your ground against the PNM. Are you going to stand your ground with us on August 14th? Those of us in the Parliament, in the House, in the Senate, we are trying our best to fight for you to stop the PNM from all that they are doing. But you must help us. You must join us. Those of us who are here, those of us who are listening to us on the airwaves, please join us on August 14th. Let us get rid of the PNM. Let us get rid of Keith, Christopher, Rowley. We must get rid of them. So as I say, my brothers and sisters, what I am seeing before me, I am seeing hope. I am seeing victory. Come August 14th, I think. Let me do think. I know that we will be victorious. Together with the NTA, together with the UNC, we will take the powers away from the PNM. We will take the Diego Martin Corporation. We will take the Port of Spain Corporation. We will take Sawa Laventille. Don't let the PNM feel that they own them corporation. They don't have the deed for it. It is the people who have the power, and you are going to have the power in your hands on August 14th. We went to the Privy Council for you to have this election. We had to fight them in the courthouse to have this election. So now is your chance. Now is your time. Stand your ground, Trinidad and Tobago. Stand up against this wicked dictator, Rowley. Stand up against the PNM and vote for the UNC. Vote for the NTA. I thank you very much.
It's time for win.
But before I leave this platform tonight, I want to announce the winning UNC candidates in the Sawa Laventille Regional Corporation. I want you all to give it up for the next councillor for Arang West Warner Village, the singer man himself, Amit Suknanan. And let me tell you something. Barataria, we fed up with the small talk. That is why Imran Khan will be the next councillor for Barataria. And returning for another tenure, I want to welcome my sister, the next councillor for El Sikoro, Arang West North, Raquel Gadi.
For UNC, that's the way to secure your family.
we now have our brother Anil Roberts to address you and to introduce the next batch of candidates, winning candidates in the Sawa Laventille Regional Corporation. Anil!
It's time for we to build a better TNT. It's time for we to vote for the UNC. So let me tell them, August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your family. August 14, vote for UNC.
As I stand on the hallowed grounds where Dennis Hall, aka Sprangalang, will bring on Kaisonian, I say, repeat after me, UNC, NTA, UNC, NTA, Unity, Unity. In 2010 in the parliament, I looked across at the Dwayne Colmimbat and I said, boy, if we had sent 3 more Maxi up in Diego Martin Northeast, Gavin Nicholas would have beat you and rid the country of you, you wicked evil man. And the Dwayne looked across at me with his shy, sheepish grin and he said, well, next time I will campaign. My people of Diego Martin, the borough, my people of the city of Port of Spain, we must end that overconfidence and that arrogance of the PNM where they feel they can do what they want and they will get your vote. Keith Christopher Rowley and the PNM have spent over $500 billion and yet he's on the platform and he's talking about Ashwa Jack House, he's talking about Gary Griffith and FUL, he's talking about Eric Williams, what he do in 1968. $500 billion and he can't say what he do for you, so fire Bun Rowley, fire Bun the PNM. Imagine when Kamala Prasad-Bissessar says, with the scourge of crime under the PNM, the hapless minister, Sleepy Sativa Bodybag Hines, that she will implement stand your ground policies, protect your family, protect your castle. The PNM says that Gary Griffith, because he approved licenses for law-abiding citizens who were waiting for decades, applying for firearms to protect themselves, that Gary Griffith bad because he want to keep you safe. I say to Keith Rowley, the people waiting for you, they're not waiting for you with guns and knives. They're waiting for you with a finger, and you will get the finger in the borough, you will get the finger in the city, you will get it across Trinidad and Tobago. They tell you in a borough in Diego Martin. Well, I live in the borough, and I just bust my tire in the borough. Mosquito bite me in the borough. I smell garbage stinking up in the borough. They flood me down in the borough. I say, get rid of the PNM from the borough. Put UNC, put NTA, fire, burn the PNM. And now, to bring the candidates continuing for the Regional Corporation of Sawan-Laventille, I bring to you for Beetham Picton, a man of experience, a man of the people, Rodney Stone.
Vote for UNC. Vote for UNC. MC.
For Febo Boog Malatrus, I bring to you a man who say one thing about Rowley and Rowley threatened to sue him. But I begging Rowley to sue me all day, all night, and he wouldn't send me a pre-auction. Corin Devon Thomas! Going to bring home the seat of Petitbourg, Mount Lampard, Champlain, who is working right now, Mr. Calendar, and in San Juan East, a man who played football and fed the coaching to the youths of Trinidad and Tobago, going to bring home San Juan East, God, Mill.
Vote for UNC. Vote for UNC.
And where the youths are running the PNM out of town. When the PNM walk with the red, no one comes out to them. They scream at them and tell them, gone from here, because you have made crime the norm. You've not created jobs. Our children are suffering. The lady who will bring home for the first time, St. Barb's Chinapu, Ayana Andrews.
Vote for UNC.
UNC, that's the way to secure your family. August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your country.
NTA and UNC send some shockwaves through Rowley K-Pax in the parliament. Make some noise!
August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your family. August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your country. Stand your ground now for you and your family.
Thank you. My brothers and sisters, I want to introduce our brother, Insaf E. Naitola, who will represent and present to you the third batch of winning candidates for the NTA in the Sawa Laventille Regional Corporation.
Yeah, baby, you know it's all about NTA. Here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA.
Good night. Good night, NTA and UNC family. It gives me great pleasure to share stage with my UNC family. And it will continue so until the end. Because for this election, 2023, we are taking this home. Brothers and sisters, my six candidates who I'm about to present, have been for the last few weeks walking in the belly of the beast. We have been going through Laventille. We have been going to Chumaka. We have been going to Caledonia. We have been seeing things that nobody wants to see. But it's not going to stop us. We will continue and we will take this election 2023 on August 14. I see my brother in the crowd there, Saddam. And I want to tell Saddam this. I live in Barataria. We don't have a UNC in Barataria, we have a NTA. Sorry, we don't have a NTA, we have a UNC. But I will tell you, Imran, the Avengers have Hulk, you have Saddam and Insaf. We take in Barataria too. So I'm about to present my candidates, the next councillors to take the Sawa Laventille seats. I want to present my first one, Chantel Alexander for Caledonia Malik, Upper Malik. Chantel shows up.
NTA, here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA.
The second winner, who's going to, on the 14th, on the 15th of August, who's going to be sworn in as councillor, I would like to bring Sawa West, Mr. Kevin Does, a footballer of his field. Kevin is the key.
You know, it's all about NTA. Here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA.
Our third winner, who is going for Success Schumacher, I bring to the stage Aliyah Montrose, Aliyah above board.
It's all about NTA. Here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA.
My next candidate, who is known, I bring you for St. Anne's Cascade, Monrepo West, Mr. Kenrick Prudham. Kickstart with Kenrick.
NTA, here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA.
My fifth candidate, who is also a winner come 14th of August, who goes from Marcus Bay, Santa Cruz, Lafayette, Mr. Jason Rupa. Justice with Jason.
It's all about NTA. Here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA.
My sixth candidate, and also the other winner for the Laventel Regional Corporation. I bring you, he is also the General Secretary for the NTA. He goes up for the Mova seat, Mr. Tim Timal, Tim on time.
You know, it's all about NTA. Here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA. Let me go blue. We vote in NTA. Go blue. NTA is the win. Go blue. Gary Griffith got the plan.
Ladies and gentlemen, behind me, standing, the next councillors for the Southern Laventon Regional Corporation, NTA and UNC family.
We vote in NTA. We vote in NTA. Listen,
Vote for UNC.
that's August 14th.
Vote for UNC.
August 14th.
Vote for UNC.
August 14th.
Vote for UNC.
That's the way to secure your family. August 14th.
Vote for UNC.
That's the way to secure your country.
Come let me vote. Stand your ground now for you and your family.
You know, it's all about NTA. Here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA. Let me go blue. We vote in NTA. Go blue.
Thank you. Put your hands together for the winning team of Sawa Laventel candidate UNC NTA. My brothers and sisters, before I bring on a very important individual to introduce, a very important individual, I want to remind all of us who are here that we have a duty and a responsibility to ensure that we secure our families, our children, our communities, our country, and therefore on Monday, August the 14th, let us go out in our hundreds of thousands and vote for our candidate representing the NTA. Let us all go there in our tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and record our vote for our candidates representing the rising sun of the United National Congress. So, my brothers and sisters, Anil told you a short while ago that this government in the last 8 years have spent almost $500 billion, close to $460 billion. And where are we today? Where are our youths today? Where are the young people's opportunities today? Do you know that we have close to 1,400 graduates of the university and they cannot find jobs in our country? Brothers and sisters, we cannot continue to allow our young people, talented young people, to be wasted in terms of their resources and their capacities. And therefore, we have a duty to them. We have a duty to our children. Would you all stand up, young brother? Stand up. Thank you, thank you. Let us warmly welcome the Honorable Kamala Prasad-Bissessar. The driver of PEA 9611, your vehicle is in trouble. So could you visit your vehicle immediately? The driver of PEA 9611. At this time, we are going into the area where the air is rare. I want to invite Sister Lauren Boucher to introduce Captain Gary Griffith, political leader of the NTA.
Yeah, baby, you know it's all about NTA. Here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA. Let me go blue. We got in NTA.
NTA people, let me hear you. UNC people, let me hear you. And now let us send a loud message to the PNM, NTA and UNC. Let me hear all of you. Thank you, Wade, for that great job that you've been doing. It is indeed my honor to introduce the next speaker. His achievements as a former Minister of National Security as well as former Commissioner of Police are too numerous to mention and are well known in the public sphere. And this is why you must support him as the leader of the NTA. Not as well known is his passion for sport. Cricket, football, hockey are areas where he has achieved success at the highest level. Guess you all didn't know that. He holds the belief that involvement in sport is a powerful vehicle that instills discipline and a hunger for success in our communities. And I know that Anil will appreciate that aspect of Gary. Sports and nation building require two essential components: teamwork and leadership. He himself will let you know that his leadership skills are second to none. Right, Gary? Yeah. But what we in the NTA and anyone who interacts with him can attest to is his strong commitment to being a team player and listening to all who wish to contribute to the betterment of Trinidad and Tobago. He is someone I have known for many years, and through all interactions with him, I am convinced he is a true patriot who loves our country. NTA, let me hear you. All great teams require a great captain. Cometh the hour, cometh the man. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce my political leader and the leader of the National Transformation Alliance. Our next presenter, let's hear it for Mr. Captain Gary Griffith.
Yeah, baby, you know it's all about NTA. Here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA. Let me go blue. We vote in NTA. Go blue. NTA is in.
Opposition leader and political leader of the United National Congress, the Honorable Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, SC, members of Parliament of the United National Congress, executive members of the UNC and the NTA, 36 local government election candidates of the UNC and the NTA for Diego Martin, Port of Spain, and San Juan Laventil, to the thousands of supporters that will be viewing live on TV6 at this time, good evening. It's getting a little warm here. It's a little warm. It's getting a little warm here. It's a little warm here. I am very proud to be here tonight as the nation is pleading for this. They are pleading for positive change, for unification, and getting the best minds together to transform our country. I want to briefly take this opportunity to explain the reason for this alliance. And I do this to all listening here tonight. I would like to clarify. This word coalition, let it be known that there are over 80 countries in the world that had coalition governments, past and present. They had over 30 in Europe, a dozen in Africa, Asia, the Americas, and many have worked. Some have not worked. But again, you have other countries that have one government with one dictator. And sometimes that does not work. It is not working now. We are seeing here that the PNM, they will always win an election if it is the other political parties, they do not unite. The data is there. Every single time there's a coalition, every single time the parties unite, the PNM is defeated. In 1986, in 1995, in 2010 general election, and in 2010 local government election. So Kamala Prasad-Bissessar has been instrumental in 50% of the defeats of the PNM in this country because she understands the importance of unifying. Every single time, as I said, that there is not a coalition, the PNM would win, except for one time, and that government lasted a few months. So it means one of three things. If anyone has an issue with this, it means you do not understand the politics. It means you are questioning the judgment of your political leader and myself. And more importantly, it means you want Keith Rowley to continue to win. You need to make that decision. So I am asking you here tonight, the choice is clear. Do we go alone and we allow Keith Rowley to win? Is that what you want? Do we work together and ensure that Keith Rowley is defeated? Is that what we want? There are other political parties. Some of them, they spit hate, bitterness, anger, and that is not what we are here for. In fact, there's an orange party like that, the same color as Rhoda Barrett's head. And we are not here for that type of politics. The type of politics that you have seen with Kamala Prasad-Bissessar is to unite, to build, to be productive, and that is what we are here for. And I ask all to understand the importance of the Bridge constituency. This third constituency, it started in 81 with ONR, with 91,000 votes. It then moved to the NAR with 127,000. It then moved to the COP with 147,000. The point is, however, that we cannot win alone. It is important for us to understand we need to work with our UNC brothers. And I would like to take a message here tonight to the 36 candidates. First to the 20 NTA candidates. Understand your role and function. As I said, there are 147,000 persons who voted for the COP in 2007. They then went on to work with the People's Partnership to ensure the annihilation of the PNM in 2010 general and the 2010 local government. Your job is to find those persons and get them to come back out and understand whether you are ONR, NAR, COP, NTA, that Bridge constituency, that third constituency, now is your time to come back out and vote and support the NTA candidates
and the UNC candidates in the 3 areas of Diego Martin, Port of Spain, San Juan, Lavantil. And to my UNC brothers and sisters, to those 16 candidates, the same thing. Ensure that the UNC supporters understand this system. It is something that is unified. It would work. We are not going to look at the results of 2013, 2016, and 2019 local government election. Looking at the results of 2010, when Kamala Prasad-Bissessar united the parties, it was annihilation for the PNM. That annihilation ensured we controlled the Diego Martin then corporation. We got several seats in Port of Spain and San Juan Lavantil. We can do it again. And the reason I can say this is that I have been doing a lot of walking. I have walked the hills of Paramin, the hills of Cocorit. I just came out from Scorpion in Caranage, Sealots, Duncan Street, Nelson Street, downtown Port of Spain, Aruca. And every single place I've gone, what you've heard is 2 things. They have never seen the political leader of the PNM in any of these places. And the second thing is, they have never seen the PNM councillor since 2019. And it says a lot. This is the time, this is your time. They are willing to give us that opportunity. So the Prime Minister, Keith Rowley, he has a concern that I am working. But I am working to serve people. I want to make sure and let the country know that I will be there with you. I will be supporting you. And it has a lot to do with work ethic. The bags you're seeing under my eyes is because since this coalition has started, the political leader of the UNC, Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, she starts work at 4 a.m. So at 4 a.m. she will be calling me and work starts. We don't stop. I have worked with 4 prime ministers as the right hand. Patrick Manning, Bazio Pandey, Keith Rowley, and Kamala Prasad-Bissessar. And she is indeed one of the hardest working prime minister that I have worked. Now let's look at the contrast. The contrast is that yesterday morning at 10:17 a.m., Keith Rowley is on the golf course on the 7th hole playing golf. The man plays golf Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday from 7 a.m. to midday. And then 2 p.m. stays in the golf club with his partners. That is why the country is the way it is. There's a lack of leadership. I give the assurance to the country. We are ready to work. We're ready to transform Trinidad and Tobago. Give us that chance. Additionally, Keith Rowley is an individual. Every single time he speaks, the one thing, it's the PNM mantra. Yes, PNM, we are incompetent, we are inefficient, but they're thief. But I can tell you there are 2 political leaders here tonight. And none of these 2 political leaders were ever hauled before the Integrity Commission and had questions to answer after being investigated. So Keith Rowley, every time you speak about that, look in the mirror. I want to go again as it pertains to the concern of Trinidad and Tobago. Keith Rowley is trying to give the perception that this is just a local government election. Everywhere I walk, the main concern that you're hearing from everyone is the concern of their most fundamental right, the right of safety and security, the right to live, their concern of crime. He wants to bypass that. But forget about the incompetence of the PNM and the councillors in dealing with the basic needs in local government. The importance of national security in local government is also there. You would have seen in 2013 to 2015, during that period, it was the highest reduction in violent crime in 30 years. And that was because we had a chair of the National Security Council who understood her job, her role and function. We worked as a team. And because of that, there were many policies that we put in place that we could reignite, even in local government. And so we win the corporations, we can make it safer for each and every citizen in those corporations or boroughs. And I speak about simple things, from the Community Comfort Patrol, the Rapid Response Unit, the National Security Special Operation Group, the National Security Training Academy, the dam and vessels that cost over $1 billion less than the defective OPVs. And you know, when they speak about OPVs, I ask everyone, type BAE/corruption. You will find 17 countries that sued BAE for paying kickback to government officials. So Kamala Prasad-Bissessar government, we were able to get the dam and vessels for $1 billion less to do the same thing that the BAE vessels could have done. All of these things were shut down and dismantled when the PNM got in 2015.
I reignited many of these things when I became Commissioner of Police. So from forming the Special Operation Response Team, the Emergency Response Patrol, the Operational Command Center, the Commissioner's Command Center, GPS tracking. And again, let me also a reminder, in 2015, we had an effective E999 system where you would be put on hold for 45 minutes. Those things can be done. And it was because the political leader of the UNC at the time, the Prime Minister, and myself, as the Minister of National Security, we were able to transform Trinidad and Tobago. And the same thing that happened then, in 2015, I was able to reignite it. And you look at data, Trinidad and Tobago understands, since 1991, let's look at it, 1991 to 1995, every year crime went up. PNM was in government. 1995 to 2000, every year crime went down. That's when the UNC was in government. 2000 to 2010, every single year, crime would have gone back up, PNM. 2010 to 2015, went back down, UNC. 2015 to 2023, every year it goes back up, except for my last year, when it was the highest reduction in violent crime. And then, what made it worse is that they decided, just like what they did with shutting down and dismantling every single thing that the People's Partnership had put in place to make people feel safe, they shut it down again as when I was Commissioner of Police. So when Keith Rowley says I was his biggest mistake, it is because I was not a political puppet as a Commissioner of Police. Trinidad and Tobago, yesterday it was me. Today it is Farley Augustine. Tomorrow it could be you. We have to understand what is happening in this country. So Keith Rowley wanted a puppet to control. He could not do that. During COVID, he wanted me to arrest persons in their home in breach of their constitutional rights. I said no. The man went and pumped $45 million into the police account and directed me to tell me who to hire and to target political opponents in an investigation. Any other country in the world, there will be a snap election. What that man has done is similar to dictatorship. $45 million. By the way, no procurement concern then. $45 million, handpick this UK person, I wouldn't call Kate McMahon's name, and then you then say that it is to target 3 political opponents. That is what is called democratic dictatorship, where a prime minister believes he can control and direct police in the performance of their duties. So what he's doing now, as it pertains to vetting, Keith Rowley, we had vetted units for years in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. We had the Special Branch, we have the SIU, we had SORT, we had the White Collar Crime Unit. They're already there. And do not lie and mislead the country to say the United States said they must establish a vetted unit. What they said is that they would like to work with a vetted unit. You already have the vetted unit. What he wants is to have his own unit. Because again, what Keith Rowley wants to have is to have control of the police service. And that must not happen. So, as we then go on, I heard Mr. Mann speak about polygraph testing recently. So, he wants to speak about polygraph testing. So, because I knew that there are people within the PNM who are also involved in polygraph testing, I went and did my own polygraph test by one of the most successful and well-known polygraphers in Miami, that they deal with all the Miami police. And in that polygraph test, questions were asked, have I ever received any inducement? As the police commissioner, did I accept an inducement? Did I ever receive anything of value as making decisions? And the answer was, based upon careful analysis of the polygrams used to examine the subject, it is the opinion of this examiner that the subject, that's maybe myself, was truthful to the responses. There was no deception indicated to any of the relevant test questions asked. Now, so I have a polygraph test to prove that I do not lie. And that every single thing that Keith Rowley said as it pertains to firearms, he lied. However, what I would like now is I want to challenge Keith Rowley to do polygraph testing. He and Gary Griffith, mano a mano. And these are the questions I would like to ask, because it is for me and for him. Did you ever use your position to benefit financially by illegal activities, inclusive of state assets, to move it from one location to another to financially benefit yourself? Did you ever harass, meet, or influence the police to investigate political opponents? Have you ever compromised your position as a member of parliament to influence independent bodies to make decisions to benefit you politically. Tell us everything you know about Emailgate. Do you know where the typewritten Emailgate really came from? Did you ever harass a commissioner of police to fast track approval for explosive licenses for your friends in Tobago? Did you ever harass a commissioner of police to get FUL dealership license for your partner in Tobago to sell hundreds of guns for them? Do you communicate or influence police officers to target political opponents? And did you influence or intimidate the previous Police Service Commission chairman to withdraw a merit list illegally, as this was never approved by the Police Service Commission? I am asking Keith Rowley, let the both of us, mano a mano, to do these polygraph tests, seeing that he wants to speak about polygraph tests. And may I add, it is the same vetted unit that Keith Rowley is speaking about, which is the special branch that did a damning report on one of his ministers. And he said, in a hypocritical manner, well, that is intelligence, that doesn't matter. But then when you hire three jokers, three people who are civilians with no authority, no law enforcement authority, and they write lies about me, you say, well, okay, we could use that. That is why the court said, don't feel you could go to Parliament, because Parliament is the one place you could lie and not be sued, aka Emailgate. And he was stopped from doing that. And that shows that Keith Rowley is a hypocrite. You ignore special branch report based on intelligence, but you want to use a report by people you handpick. This is what Keith Rowley, this is his style. Just like the Stanley John report, just like the audit report, handpick people that could be closely affiliated to whoever, pay them big money, let them write a report, and then say this about the individual. The country is not buying those lies anymore. So his mistake is an individual that when I took over the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, it was 14% public trust and confidence. It then moved to 55% when I left. His mistake was an individual who ensured that every violent crime was reduced by 35%. His biggest mistake was an individual that caused crime to fall to number 4 in the concern of the country behind health, education, and the economy. His concern was the fact that criminals were on the back foot, and he ignored 89% of the population who wanted somebody to return or had no concern. But you know, the other 11% comprised criminals. So Keith Rowley, you're in select company because you didn't have what you didn't want. And over 80 police officers were suspended, removed, or even arrested under my watch because we were cleaning up the police service. And by cleaning up the police service, it caused the public to buy in and it built trust and confidence. Instead, what you have done, we have now gone back to the past now, where police officers, $120 million a year I was able to reduce in overtime corruption because we had police officers claiming that they were working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and $80,000 a month. I put an end to that. I put an end to the concern about firearm corruption because the harder it was for you to get the firearms, that is what will cause people to pay. Because I made it easier, he had a concern. And again, it seemed that the PNM, they did maths in August. They went to school in August. Because they claim we give, that Kamala Prasad-Bissessar and I want to give firearms to everyone. I gave out 4,000 odd firearms out of 50,000 applicants. 4,000. Half of that were to law enforcement officials because of our backward system that when you're a police officer, a soldier, a sailor, a customs officer, a prisons officer, you actually have to return your firearm to the station and then go home and you can't protect your family. 2,000 of those were given to law enforcement officials. And the other 2,000, not one was lost, not one was stolen, not one was used for a crime, not one was used for a murder. In fact, dozens of lives were saved. So it seems that Keith Rowley has a problem with law-abiding persons having the right to fight back, having the right to stand your ground, having the right to defend yourselves. It gets even worse. My wife, Nicole Griffith, she pushed for pepper spray. They don't even want to give pepper spray to give women a fighting chance. Until this government is removed, it is going to get worse because it seems that this government looks after the rights of the criminals rather than the rights of the law-abiding citizens. And again, as I state, yesterday it was me. Today it is Folly Augustine. Tomorrow it could be you. There are so many other things that would have been done. When we speak about our law enforcement officials, Kamala Prasad-Bissessar had them at heart. We had 150 foreign use UK people. 150. It was costing us over $22 million to maintain 150 foreign use UK officials. What she did is send them back to UK and took that money to give each and every law enforcement official $1,000 a month since 2010, and that has not stopped.
So to Trinidad and Tobago, again, as I said, we are in desperate times. We need to do what is required. I ask you to understand the importance of this unification. We have to work together. As someone just mentioned, the reason he does not want to have these international observers is because he has a plan. We need to be very cognizant, monitor carefully, and to ensure that we win. And as I said, to the UNC and NTA candidates, work together, work as a team, ensure that those 147,000 persons who are Congress of the People members, they come back out and vote. We are going to win this. We are going to win this local government election. And before I close, as I said, yesterday was me, today is Farley Augustine, tomorrow it is you. We understand that this man is a dictator. He wants to control the police service. He wants to control independent bodies. I ask you that on the 14th of August, send a loud and clear message to Keith Rowley, enough. Thank you.
Yeah, baby, you know it's all about NTA. Here we go. Somebody say NTA, 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 NTA. Let me go blue. We vote in NTA. Go blue. NTA is the way. Go blue. Gary Griffith got the plan. Go blue. So let us save our nation. No. NT, NT.
Judas. The governor of the central bank is appointed by whom? He's a government appointee. The deputy governor is a government appointee. And you want to talk about no government? Nothing in politics? We will continue to work with CARICOM for the better of our country.
This is a special prime time local government election address with UNC political leader Kamala Prasad-Bissessar.
Family and friends, UNC family and friends. And while Gary boasted he could open his shirt, blue shirt, and show yellow, well, Gary, I did better. I wear yellow and blue to speak with you here tonight. So, I thank all the previous speakers who joined us. And Gary spoke about so much that we did when Gary was our special advisor on crime, national security. And then he was with us as Minister of National Security. And whilst Gary was saying, Kamala Prasad-Bissessar did this and did that, I did all of that with the help of Captain Gary Griffith. When it came to national security. And of course, we had a good team working in the partnership. So I endorse every word that Captain Griffith has said here tonight about the benefits of coming together to unite as one great force to remove the PNM off the face of the map. We must remove them. And Gary has explained that every time we came together, we were able to move them off the map. I also acknowledge here Gavin Nicholas, who worked with us in that cabinet as well, and thank you for his service. Very happy to see he's joined the team with all of us. And of course, my own UNC members who are here, I think MP Saddam explained to you, they're trying to hold us back in Parliament, but they could never stop me from coming to meet with you and seeing you here tonight. Now there's a very interesting development. Gary's talked about today is Farley, tomorrow. First, yesterday was Gary, today is Farley, and tomorrow could be any one of you. And so, in the THA meeting today, the Chief Secretary Farley made some very, very, very serious allegations against Prime Minister Rowley, against the Commissioner of Police. Tonight I call upon them to tell us, are these allegations true? The Chief Secretary said, he alleged, a deeply disturbing conspiracy, a scheme between the Prime Minister, the Commissioner of Police, and other high-ranking officials. And there's a whistleblower who is coming forward and saying that he met with the Prime Minister. Prime Minister was talking to the Commissioner of Police, not this one. This was the greatest Commissioner of Police we ever had in Gary Griffith. Not this one. Not this one. And they were engaged in a conspiracy. I have shared with you before how the PNM is attempting to buy votes, how the PNM is bribing people. I showed the check. Bribing people to jump ship and come into their camp. And we said goodbye. We want no Judases in this camp. We stand strong to remove the PNM together. And now, this whistleblower, Farley showed all the tapes in the THA today. The whistleblower is alleging that he has been paid and been promised $275,000 to swear an affidavit to implicate Farley and others in the THA. That is where the PNM has reached to conspiracies. So when Gary tells us tonight how they attempted to strong-arm and browbeat police officers to do their political bidding, they continue to do that with Farley. So yesterday was Gary, today's Farley, tomorrow is any one of you. Any one of you. Don't say you were not warned. They will use anything they can against whom they see as political opponents. And that's what they did. For months I've been warning and warning that the hierarchy of the police service, some of them, is in collusion with the PNM to persecute political opponents. I told you, and I will continue to say it, this government is a clear and present danger to democracy in Trinidad and Tobago. And so, a vote for this government is a vote for a body of people who believe, Gary explained it well, in dictatorship. This is a dictator government pressing down. They have their knee on your throat and they will come for any one of you. And so we must vote. We must vote on the 14th. We must vote for the NTA candidates. We must vote for the UNC candidates and move them off the map. We must vote against having our children grow up in a police state where they have no rights and no freedoms. We must vote against this dictatorship. Hand-picked police mongoose gang disguised as a veteran unit. Gary explained to us we have veteran units already in the service. He set up others to deal with crime, but this man has no idea. I say, those whom the gods wish to destroy, they first make them mad. Make them mad. It's a madman at the helm of this country. And if we don't understand that today, then it's scrap out, smoke your pipe. We have to understand it well. When it is, a prime minister could stand up, baps, he wake up. He wake up, he say, listen, we're going to have police units vetted. Who is going to vet these people? And who will vet the vetted persons? And he's handpicking these people to do his bidding. As Farley is telling us, as Gary told us, he's handpicking, wants to handpick specially chosen persons to go in this team. You know, again, the work of a dictator. Right now, they're forcing the special branch to spy, some of them to spy on their opponents. The officers of the special branch are so fed up. They're complaining, do not want to be involved in the dictator's schemes. The police service is now split into factions under this commissioner of police, where you have police officers going personally to the diplomatic center to meet this man one-on-one. Where do you ever hear that? Dari told you, only in dictatorships you have the prime minister interacting one-on-one with senior police officers, asking them to do his bidding. And look, that big meeting Sunday at the Dip Center was nothing but a gimmick, a stunt. Nothing but a stunt to get the police to help this dictator counteract all that people are speaking about. Was not to fight crime. According to senior officers who was present in the meeting, hear me up, you know, they can't tell you what happened in that meeting, but in Trinidad, nothing remains a secret for long. And so a senior officer at that meeting has said, it was a senseless meeting. Everyone left really baffled because no one offered a strategy. No leadership, no ideas, no nothing. And there we were, all these heads of divisions. Did you see or hear anything different after the meeting? He asks. There were no increased police patrols by Sunday, Monday, and even up to today. He said, this officer, the police are doing what they can do with what they have. And that is the truth. We do not even have the basic tools we want. One of the things we brought up at the meeting was the issue of the CCTV cameras. Cameras have been in place since 2009, when an Israeli firm was hired to put the system in place for the 5th Summit of the Americas. Half of those cameras, he says, are not working now. They must bring out the resources, including the army, for high visibility, not just in hotspots, but on the highways and other getaway routes to tame the criminal upsurge. Gary, you remember that's what we did? We brought joint patrols of the army and the TTPS, and we took it to Parliament, remember, Gary? And what they said, they called it the soldier bill. It was to bring all our security forces together. There are thousands of army personnel, thousands of police personnel, and therefore we could deploy them in this fight against crime. That senior officer said, give guns to SRPs, bring them out also. Either that or we level the playing field and give guns to law-abiding citizens. Give guns to law-abiding citizens, which is what Gary did as Commissioner of Police, which he started to do. Gun for gun. I want you to imagine and think about this. You are in your home. Your home is your castle. And you are there with your family, your children, your wife. And you see a home invader coming into your home. What do you do? What do you say? Whom will you call? The Ghostbusters? You have no time because when you call them, they can't even reach. What do you do? And if you have a legal gun, what do you do? Rowley is telling us we are plotting one against the other, putting one against the other. What do you do? Your wife is about to be raped, your daughter to be raped. What do you do? And if you have a legal gun, then you know what to do. You stand your ground in your home. Stand your ground. What Rowley wants us to do? To say, Mr. Bandit, sir, hold on. Wait up. Just wait. Take off your mask and let me see if you're looking like me, or you're looking like Anil, or you're looking like Garvin, or you're looking like Gary. Who are you looking at? Who do you look at as? And then I'll decide if to use that gun. Absolute ludicrous nonsense. The home invasions happen regardless of you're red, whether you're white, whether you're blue, you're green, you're black. It's every one of us. Every single one. So they rape and they rob and they kill him. The man who will shoot to defend his family will get bail just like others get. So police stations, the officer says, are not equipped. If you think it happens only in some areas, recently it's happening everywhere. Even at the St. Clair station, they're telling us they're not well resourced. So these are the words of a senior officer, not Kamala, not Gary. This is what is happening in our country today, as we are under siege by the criminals. I want to talk a little about the law they were trying to change in Parliament today. And I will not give you too much legalese, but I think it's important to understand what happened in the Parliament today. They're coming to totally, they brought a bill to remove all the checks and balances, to allow Imbert and Rowley to write blank checks so they can give contracts to their friends and their financiers and their family. That is what they were doing today, and you read more about it. I told them today, that bill is not worth the paper that is written on. Nothing is worth the paper. Because what they are doing in effect, they are killing the procurement. Well, they killed it already. They came today to carry out the final rites, to bury, put the last nail in the coffin, to bury any semblance of democratic transparency in the procurement of goods and services. As I move along, I want to share with you, the PNM is on platform crying all over the country about their fake local government reform. They have nothing to tell you that they have achieved in 8 years. After spending several $100 billion, nothing. Not an achievement. Crime all-time high. Road infrastructure gone through, health sector gone through, education sector gone through. And as I talk about education, Rowley, leave the people conquer that in place. Leave the denominational schools to conduct their business. It is only a fascist government. You're a dictator, but you're also a fascist government that you want to interfere in something that is working. You know the expression, if it ain't broken, why fix it? Why you want to interfere in the runnings of the Catholic schools, the Anglican schools, the Presbyterian schools, all the other schools, the Mahasabha, the Astra schools? Why? And so I see the court has granted leave to the Presbyterian School Board, Presbyterian Church, to challenge the interference by this government, unlawful interference with the Concordat and the running of those schools. Shame on them. It's a disgrace. Shame on them. As Gary told you, they want to control everything. They want to control the religion that you have, that you carry your school children to the Catholic school, Presbyterian, whichever school. That is your right. There's freedom of religion in this country, and these schools, the denominational schools, have served Trinidad and Tobago very, very well. Very well, very well. So I come back to local government reform. They have not one achievement. Agreed? Do they have any achievements after 8 years? Not one. And then they have no plans to put forward on the local government platform. Nothing. So what they do, they come and cry, Gary. They cry, what they say, some blue tongue or something. You know, when I was growing up, we used to have something called a blue bottle. I don't know if you're all too young to remember that, but it's put blue bottle and blue soap and so on. Blue is a great color. To ward away the evil eye. And yellow is also a great color for the sunlight that arises every day. So when we join the blue and the yellow, we have, as I say, a united force against Rowley and his dictatorship. So I'm returning to this local government gimmick, a PR stunt that they're crying about each day in their meetings on their platforms. It is fake local government reform. The majority of our population know that the PNM local government reform is fake. The majority of the population is laughing at anyone who actually believes the PNM fake reform joke. That's all they can come with. Just like the roadmap. You all remember something called the roadmap to recovery? Gimmick. Yeah, drop in a pothole. Or the road was too full of potholes. That road, thank you, Saram, dropped down in the pothole. Do you remember crime as a public health crisis gimmick? What became of that? Do you remember their promise for island-wide broadband? Another gimmick. Do you remember the Dragon gas gimmick? Do you remember the Toko port gimmick? Do you remember the Labre dry dock gimmick? Do you remember the plyboard factory gimmick? Do you remember the sandals gimmick? Do you remember the Petrotrin gimmick? The man lied and lied. He said, the government is not closing down Petrotrin. And if you were closing your fridge door and you didn't hear me, I will repeat, the government is not closing down Petrotrin. And lo and behold, all gone. Shut down the whole of Petrotrin. And that is why they're scrambling. What you call these guys? They sprang out like a sprang out. Scrambling to take money from you through property tax. Take money from you from inheritance tax. They're going to raise your electricity rates after the election. They're going to raise your water rates after the election. It is there in the Moody's report. They're boasting about that is what the plan is. So they're spranging for money. They're looking for money. Because why? You closed down the one great revenue earner we had, which was Petrotrin. You killed the goose that laid the golden egg, but you created no other ways to create further revenue, to bring in money, to create jobs. Food prices gone, fuel, everything is gone. And now they're spranging, if that's the correct word, Arnold, spranging, looking for your money out of your pocket with all these taxes. I want you to, Piper, that's the word. Thank you. That's the word, like pipers. Looking for money everywhere, like pipers. Everywhere. And so where are all these things they promise? Petrotrin Refinery was supposed to go to whom? OWTU. On the verge of an election, they fooled everybody. They're giving it to the union. And as we're in a union hall here today, I asked the unions to stand firm, stand your ground against this wicked, evil government. Wicked, evil government. So what do I say? This is a gimmick government. How can the UNC support fake reform? How can the NTA support a dictator? The leader of this government is a dictator. Remember this dictator? He didn't call elections, you know, guys. You all remember? We had to take him kicking and screaming to the Privy Council before he had to concede and call the election. He was postponing this election until the end of this year so they could continue in their nefarious ways. So he didn't call the election. We went to court and forced him to call this election. And I want to tell you tonight, Mr. Rowley, you're boasting on the platform that the Integrity Commission has cleared you when this whole fiasco at Inez Gate in Tobago. Sir, that matter has not ended. It has not ended. We shall haul you before the courts. And he always complained about these old Englishmen in the Privy Council. We'll take it right up to the Privy Council to show that you were wrong in that matter. Gary reminded me tonight about the SORT people, 150 people. Rowley talks about us using the courts. Gavin, you're a lawyer. You know the Privy Council is our final court, but he's complaining. Every time we go up to the Privy, we say, going by them old Englishmen. When it was his government who brought down those old retired Scotland Yard officers to pay them the millions that Gary reminded us about. So I'll just take a couple of minutes left to me to show you how poorly construed this fake local government reform is. It is clear they did not even plan their talking points properly. I cannot believe there is big men and women in this government came up with this fake local government reform. And let's understand it. What does it say? First of all, they're on their platforms promising security and funding when you pay increased property tax. Can I ask you a question? Where in the world does a party ask you, please vote for me, and you know what I'll give you? Property tax. I'll take your taxes. Where in the world? Vote for me, and you know what, fellas? Pay more property tax. Pay inheritance tax. You're taxing dead people too, who work so hard their whole lives. So we come to funding. They're talking about that they'll keep their taxes. Don't get fooled. Don't get chained up again with their lies. The Consolidated Fund will collect the property tax. It will not be kept by the Debunking Borough Corporation or the Port of Spain or the Samala, any of the corporations. The monies will not be kept there. And then what happens? It will be taken to be used by the PNM to give the contracts to their friends and their families and financiers. It will not be used in your area. Therefore, they will be the ones. Minister Imbut will be the one to decide how much money to give each corporation. So don't get chained up, pay property tax, and they will give you better service. That is never going to happen. They have not diversified in any way to get additional revenue. Only taxes is all they're looking for. So they will implement those things after the election. But they're so bold-faced and think we are stupid. They think Trini people dotish. Vote for me and I will make you pay property taxes. When the UNC was in office and the partnership was in office, there was a period of economic expansion, massive reduction in violent crime, with the help of Gary Griffith to bring it down to the lowest in 30 years. The lowest in 30 years. The PNM position was they would not continue all these plans that were put in place by the partnership and Gary Griffith. And when he was commissioner, he reignited some of those. And he got the crime down. Look, let's give Jack, all right, in this case, let's give Gary his jacket. Let us give him his jacket. Let us give him his jacket. We give Jack his jacket on another night. Next week we have a meeting with him and Gary. So that's one thing. You saw Gary stand up here tonight? You'll say yes. You saw him speaking here tonight? That man didn't read one piece of paper. Everything was in his head. Everything was embedded in his brain. And so together we will work to reduce the crime. We will use the local government to bring down the crime, to bring down other areas. And we have shared some plans with you already, which we'll continue to share as to how we can achieve that. The second gimmick or lie from Rowley and his team, they said, okay, corporations, you will get executive authority similar to the THA model. You hear lie? That too is lie. That is lie. That is totally false. The THA is embodied in our Constitution. But unlike the THA and Parliament, there is no constitutional protection for local government. It's an ordinary act of Parliament. That is why they could have come to Parliament with their majority to put the date of elections whenever they feel. You remember Mr. Manning? 3 times that man came to Parliament. That's PNM playbook. 3 times to do what? Postpone local government elections. But Rowley tried. But Rowley don't have bright lawyers like we have in the NTA and the UNC. We don't have them. Today I offered them, I said, Prime Minister, your lawyers, like they don't read the law, 1. And 2, when they read it, they still don't understand it. So you know what? I will lend you the little boy from Sawa. That's how Rowley called Saddam, the little boy from Sawa. I said, we'll lend you a little boy from Sawa who is brighter than any of your lawyers sitting on that side. I am so busy trying to lend him Saddam. You know what Saddam say? Boss, I'm not going. I'm not going there at all. So, coming back to his, giving executive authority, again, gimmicks, lies, and painting something that they will promise, but guess what? PNM promises never materialize. PNM promises never ever materialize. And moving along, they talk about security and funding. They're saying, vote for them, fake local government reform, we'll give you security and funding and so on. Will never happen. Executive authority, never happen. And they move along. They say they're going to give you Diego Martin Corporation, Port of Spain, Sama Laventy, and all the others new responsibilities for school repairs, social services, and sporting programs. Look, right now, local government cannot repair potholes. They can't fix landslips. They can't clear box drains because of the discrimination in the expenditure that is given for recurrent items, such as just a basic phone bill, rent, fuel, paper. They starve the corporations. They cannot increase responsibility for school repairs, social services, sporting programs. What they have to do is increase the allocations to the corporations. So they wanted to take your taxes without procurement oversight. To talk about local contractors to get work. You hear lie, more lie, more lie. Under the Procurement Act, the contractors have to register with the Office of Procurement Regulation. So unless they amend that to say in the districts for the corporations, local government people, corporations should get allocations, it will never be done. So they don't even understand, as I said, the laws of our country. They talk about more effective municipal police. You hear lie again? You hear lie? That too is a lie. Effectiveness for municipal police is through human resources. They have promised police, municipal police to the corporations over the past 8 years. How many did they actually give to the corporations? In one, they gave 20 in 8 years. Others have none. In other places, they ask for buildings for these officers. Nothing. They talk about development control, another lie. They have provided no particulars. They have no idea. Just a talking point, just like that roadmap to recovery. They say when you vote for them, their fake local government reform, you will have infrastructure works. How? When, after 8 years, they cannot even finish the Point Fortin Highway. The Toko-Manzanar Highway is a mud track now, and so many of the roads totally in disrepair. What about flooding? You remember, sorry fellas, in Port of Spain? Gone are the days when Port of Spain used to laugh at the south and central, like Heinz talking about we like something in a murky lagoon and blah, 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 blah. Race baiting, whistleblowing. Now all over Trinidad is flood. If it drizzles, it's flood. And you know what somebody tell me? Once the rain set up, the flooding starts. Cannot even deal with that. They talk about involvement of civil society. What civil society? No particulars. They are total, blatant liars when it comes to their local government reform. They talk about disaster management. They have destroyed the disaster management units in the corporations. No equipment for fire rescue. When do you see the ODPM? Look today, it is our UNC councils you see on the ground when there's a natural disaster. And come after the 14th, it will be the UNC councils, NTA councils out in natural disasters. And let us commend the hunters, search and rescue teams. They have been more helpful, these hunters. Let's congratulate them. And then they talk about regional development. Since 2014, we passed laws. Remember Gavin and Gary? We passed laws involving local government to be involved in planning and development under a new system, Planning and Facilitation of Development Act. We proclaimed that law in 2015. 8 years later, they sat on it and we proclaimed parts of it. They have not moved for full proclamation. They don't have one development after $500 billion. Anil has a nice way to say it. 500, what is it, Anil? Billion dollars they have spent in these 8 years. So as I close, we will share with you, and I invite you tonight to join us on Monday, NTA, UNC, at the Center of Excellence, where we will present our Tunabuna candidates jointly at that meeting. I close. I love you too. I love all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So that's a local government gimmick that I'm speaking about. And I close by telling you, let us look at our country as a company. Many of you are businessmen. Let us look at that. You have put the dictator as a CEO of this company in 2015. After 8 years, let's do a check, a reality check on this CEO. After 8 years, the monetary value of the company is 20% smaller in size. The company revenues have declined. The staff has been cut. The company debt has skyrocketed. The company is having difficulty in accessing loans. The company has to cut employees' benefits. The shareholders of the company receive no earnings. The CEO and the company fail to deliver any promised projects. Would you keep this dictator and this CEO in office? Will you keep them in office? So substitute the company for Trinidad and Tobago and see the inability of government to give citizens more goods, services, high standard of living, because the dictator has failed as a CEO. He has failed at doing his job. And now you who actually do your jobs and you who invested in our country are being punished. A proper CEO and leader must grow the company, grow the economy, so to increase income for shareholders, our citizens, to get goods and services. Conversely, this government cannot do their own jobs. But what do? They turn around and blame everybody else. Everybody else. So I want to share with you Rowley's propaganda, the ultimate disinformation playbook. Every time, this is a playbook. And if you know and you're warned, you will not get carried away by their lies and disinformation. So here we are, playbook, Rowley's disinformation playbook. First, 1, blame the UNC. Blame Gary Griffith too. 2, item 2 in this playbook. Blame Kamala. Blame Gary. Item 3, blame the people. Blame the people. 4, cry race. Cry race. But nobody getting chained up with that again, because we in the NTA and in the UNC, we have space for every creed and every race. I say, whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're blue, whether you're green, whether you're yellow or blue, there's space for everyone in the NTA and in the UNC. And item 6, repeat over and over and over and over again. So that's the playbook. The playbook, that's the PNM playbook. And once you play it, once you've seen it once, you've seen it every single time. Every time. I ask of you here tonight, all of you have come out in your numbers, put your hands together for this great, massive meeting this evening. I thank everyone. And I tell you this, you will never walk alone. The NTA and the UNC will walk with each and every one of you. We will join together to unite our country, to rebuild and restore Trinidad and Tobago. Let's work to make Trinidad and Tobago great again. Let's work together and let's make this happen. So on August 14th, all of you complaining every day wherever you are, things bad, you know what? Stop toting and start voting. Stop toting, start voting. August 14th, put your X next to the NTA symbol and next to the rising sun of the UNC. May God continue to bless you. And may I ask all candidates and Gary and Garvin, please join us, other MPs and Senate, please join us. So here, what's the cry, what's the slogan on the 14th? Stop toting and start voting. Don't tote, just vote. Thank you and God bless.
It's time for we to vote for the UNC. So let me tell them, August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your family. August 14, vote for UNC. That's the way to secure your country.